Maya woke up that morning with a quiet worry sitting in her chest, and she did not know why it felt heavier than usual. She lived alone in a small rented house near the edge of town, and every day felt like a careful balance between hope and fear. She worked long hours at a local store and saved every extra dollar with patience and discipline. Her dreams were simple and grounded, and she wanted stability more than anything else. That morning she left home with no plan except to finish her errands and return before dark. She did not expect that a single stop would shift the direction of her life in a way she could not imagine. The old gas station sat far from the main road, and most people drove past it without a second glance. Its paint was peeling, and the sign flickered even in daylight as if tired from years of service. Maya stopped there only because her phone battery was almost gone and she needed directions to get home. Inside the station the air smelled of dust and old oil, and the shelves were half empty. While waiting for her phone to charge, she stepped outside and noticed a wooden shed behind the building. The door was slightly open, and sunlight fell across something metallic inside. Curiosity pulled her forward, even though she had no reason to look. Inside the shed sat a 1965 Ford Mustang resting under years of neglect and silence. Dust covered the body, and the paint had lost its color, but the shape still carried strength and pride. The tires were flat, and the windows were cloudy, yet the car felt alive in a quiet way. Maya felt her breath slow as she stood there staring at it. She had always loved classic cars, even though she never believed she would own one. In that moment she felt a strange connection, as if the car had been waiting to be seen again. Her heart told her to ask questions, even if the answers made no sense. An older man sat near the shed on a folding chair holding a paper cup of coffee. His posture was tired, but his eyes were alert and thoughtful as he watched the road. Maya greeted him politely and asked about the car with a careful voice. The man introduced himself as Robert, and his voice carried calm and depth. He explained that the Mustang had been there for years, untouched by time and forgotten by the world. He said it once meant everything to him, but now it was only a memory. When Maya asked if it was for sale, he looked at her as if weighing something unseen. Robert took a long moment before speaking again, and when he did his words were slow and steady. He told her the price without emotion, and it sounded unreal to her ears. $600 was all he asked, and he did not explain why. Maya felt disbelief mix with excitement and fear all at once. That amount was everything she had saved over months of sacrifice. She thought about rent and food and emergencies, and then she thought about regret. Something inside her said this moment would not return if she walked away. They completed the simple paperwork at a small table inside the station. The pen felt heavy in Maya's hand as she signed her name with care. Robert handed her the keys, and for a brief second their hands touched. His eyes held sadness but also relief, as if he was letting go of a burden he carried for too long. Maya thanked him sincerely and promised she would take care of the car. He nodded once and said nothing more, as if words were no longer needed. When the tow truck arrived, Maya followed it back home with a quiet smile and a racing heart. She imagined cleaning the dust and restoring the engine and bringing life back into something forgotten. The Mustang sat in her driveway that night, covered carefully as if protected from the world. Across town, Robert stood alone at the gas station watching the empty road. He whispered something to the fading light and turned away slowly. Neither of them knew that this exchange was only the beginning of a much deeper story that was waiting to unfold. Maya spent the next morning standing in her driveway staring at the Mustang as if it might disappear if she looked away. The cover came off slowly, and sunlight revealed every scratch and faded curve with honesty. She ran her hand along the hood and felt years of silence beneath her fingers. The car smelled of dust and old fabric, but also carried something warm and familiar. She spoke to it softly without realizing she was doing it. In her mind she promised that this car would not be forgotten again. That promise filled her with purpose and calm. Days passed, and Maya worked whenever she could find time between shifts. She cleaned the interior carefully and removed layers of dirt one careful motion at a time. Each small improvement felt like a victory that pushed her forward. Neighbors began to stop and watch from a distance, curious but respectful. Some offered advice while others simply smiled and moved on. Maya felt proud even though the car was far from finished. The Mustang slowly became a symbol of effort and hope in her quiet life. Late one afternoon, Maya found an old envelope tucked behind the glove compartment. The paper was yellowed and thin, as if it had waited years to be touched again. Inside was a photograph of a younger man and woman standing beside the same Mustang when it was new. On the back was a handwritten note signed by Robert and dated decades earlier. The words spoke of love, sacrifice, and dreams shared on open roads. Maya sat in the driver's seat holding the photo as emotions she could not name filled her chest. She realized the car carried more than metal and paint. It carried a story that was not finished. Across town, Robert sat alone in a small room with boxes stacked against the walls. He moved slowly as he sorted through old belongings, deciding what to keep and what to release. His hands paused often as memories surfaced with quiet force. Selling the Mustang had been harder than he expected, yet he felt lighter each day since. He wondered if Maya understood what the car truly meant. In his heart, he hoped she would discover the truth in her own time. That hope kept him awake at night, staring at the ceiling in silence. Maya could not stop thinking about the photograph and the note. She began searching old records and asking questions at the local library. The librarian helped her find articles about a young couple who once traveled town to town in a red Mustang, spreading joy through music and kindness. The man was Robert and the woman was named Helen. Helen had passed away years earlier, leaving Robert alone with memories and the car they shared. Maya felt tears in her eyes as she read every word slowly. She understood then that the $600 had never been about money. One evening as the sun lowered, Maya heard a knock at her door. When she opened it, she found Robert standing quietly holding a small box in his hands. His expression was gentle but serious, as if he had come to finish something important. Maya invited him inside and offered him a seat near the window. He looked at the Mustang through the glass and smiled softly. Without speaking, he placed the box on the table between them. In that moment, both understood that the past and present were about to meet in a way neither expected. Robert sat by the window and held the small box with both hands as if it carried something fragile and alive. Maya stayed quiet and allowed him the space to begin when he was ready. He opened the box slowly and revealed a stack of letters tied with a thin ribbon that had faded with time. His voice was soft when he spoke, and each word came with care and memory. He told her the letters were written by Helen during the years they traveled together. They had promised to write whenever distance stood between them. The Mustang had been their shelter, their joy, and their witness through every season of life. He said the car was never meant to be sold for profit or pride. It was meant to find someone who still believed in second chances. Maya listened and felt the weight of trust settle gently on her heart. Robert explained how Helen believed that kindness returned when given freely. She often spoke about helping someone without being seen or praised. When she became ill, she made him promise not to let grief turn his heart cold. She wanted the Mustang to carry forward the love they shared. For years Robert could not let go because letting go felt like losing her again. Time slowly changed his pain into quiet acceptance. When Maya walked into his life by chance, he felt something shift inside. Her care and respect reminded him of the person he once was. He realized the right moment had finally arrived. Giving her the car was his way of keeping Helen's promise alive. Maya felt tears, but she did not rush to wipe them away. She told Robert how she found the photo and the note hidden in the car. She shared how the Mustang had already changed her life by giving her purpose. Her words were simple, but they carried deep meaning. She said she did not see the car as an object or a prize. To her, it was a story asking to be continued. She promised to honor the past while building something new. Robert nodded and his shoulders relaxed for the first time in years. He said he had one more thing to give before leaving. His eyes met hers with quiet certainty and trust. They stepped outside together as evening light wrapped the driveway in warmth. Robert opened the trunk and lifted a worn case from the corner. Inside were tools, journals, and a map marked with faded ink. He explained that Helen had drawn the map herself. It showed places they dreamed of visiting but never reached. Robert told Maya the journey was now hers to take. The tools were meant to help her rebuild the car and herself. He said the road would teach her things no words could. Maya held the map carefully, as if it might speak. In that moment she felt chosen not by chance but by faith. When Robert finally stood to leave, the air felt different and lighter. He thanked Maya for listening and for seeing beyond the surface. She thanked him for trusting her with something so meaningful. They shared a quiet smile that needed no explanation. As he walked away, Maya watched until he turned the corner. The Mustang sat behind her, glowing softly in the fading light. She knew her life would never return to what it had been before. The past had reached forward and placed something powerful in her hands. This was not the end of the story but the turning point. The road ahead was waiting, and it was finally time to begin. Maya began every morning beside the Mustang with quiet focus and steady hands. She learned the sound of each tool and the meaning of every small repair. The car slowly responded to her care, as if recognizing patience and respect. Rust gave way to clean metal and faded parts found new strength. She worked after long shifts and on early weekends without complaint. Neighbors noticed the change in her posture and confidence. The driveway became a place of growth rather than struggle. Each finished task felt like a promise kept to both past and future. As weeks turned into months, the Mustang started to breathe again. The engine came alive with a low, steady sound that filled the air. Maya sat behind the wheel and felt a calm she had never known. She followed the map Helen had drawn and planned short trips at first. Open roads taught her to trust movement and direction. Each mile carried quiet lessons about patience and courage. She stopped in small towns and met kind faces along the way. The journey shaped her into someone stronger and more aware. Robert watched from a distance through occasional letters Maya sent. She wrote about progress roads and moments of doubt and hope. Her words brought warmth back into his quiet evenings. He shared stories in return about Helen and their early days. Reading helped him release old weight he had carried alone. He found peace knowing the Mustang was loved again. The exchange of letters built a bridge between generations. Both felt less alone as the seasons changed around them. One evening Maya returned from a long drive and found a note waiting. It was written in Robert's careful, familiar handwriting. He thanked her for giving meaning to something he once feared losing. He said seeing her journey helped him move forward with ease. The words felt like a blessing passed gently from hand to hand. Maya placed the letter inside the glove compartment with care. She sat quietly and allowed gratitude to settle in her chest. The past no longer felt heavy but supportive and kind. The Mustang became more than a vehicle for Maya. It became a reminder that trust can change lives. People she met shared their own stories when they saw the car. Some spoke of loss, others of new beginnings. Maya listened and learned that everyone carried unseen roads. Her simple kindness reflected what Helen once believed. Giving without expecting return shaped her choices. The car carried not just her body but her values. As time passed, Maya faced new opportunities with calm strength. She applied for better work and followed goals she once avoided. Confidence replaced fear in ways she could feel daily. The road taught her that direction mattered more than speed. Each step forward honored the gift she had been given. She no longer questioned her worth or timing. Life unfolded with steady rhythm and purpose. The Mustang stood as proof that care can awaken anything. Robert eventually visited one quiet afternoon without warning. He stood beside Maya as she opened the hood with a smile. They shared silence filled with understanding and pride. He said Helen would have loved this moment deeply. Maya thanked him for trusting her when it mattered most. They walked the road together for a short while, then parted knowing the bond would remain. The journey continued with gratitude guiding every mile. Maya stood beside the Mustang one quiet morning and felt a deep sense of arrival. The road ahead no longer felt uncertain or heavy. She had learned to trust time, effort, and gentle choices. The car reflected sunlight with a steady, calm strength. Every sound it made felt familiar and honest. Her life no longer moved in circles but forward. She carried the past with care, not weight. The journey had shaped her into someone grounded and awake. The towns she visited began to feel connected by shared kindness. People recognized the Mustang and remembered her smile. She helped strangers when she could without asking questions. Small acts built strong bridges between moments and lives. Each stop reminded her of the letters and the map. Helen's words lived through her actions without effort. The road gave back what she offered with patience. She felt part of something larger than herself. One afternoon Maya received a final letter from Robert. His writing was steady and peaceful in tone. He shared that he was moving closer to family. He thanked her again for honoring what mattered most. There was no sadness in his words, only completion. He trusted the road would continue guiding her. Maya held the letter with respect and warmth. She placed it beside the photograph in the glove compartment. As seasons changed, Maya found herself helping others rebuild. She taught simple repairs and shared what she learned. The Mustang became a teacher as much as a vehicle. Young people listened when she spoke about patience. Older faces smiled seeing the car alive again. Stories passed quietly between hands and hearts. Hope traveled without noise or demand. The road carried lessons without speaking. Maya began writing her own journal at night. She recorded miles, faces, and moments of courage. Each page helped her see how far she had come. Fear once shaped her days, but now it rested. Confidence grew through consistency and care. She no longer waited for permission to live fully. The past no longer held her back. It walked beside her as a gentle guide. One evening she parked the Mustang under open sky. Stars reflected softly on the hood and windows. She thought of Helen, Robert, and all the roads unseen. Gratitude filled her chest without needing words. She understood that gifts are meant to move forward. Holding too tightly only stops the journey. Letting go with trust keeps it alive. The road stretched on, welcoming and wide. Years later people would ask about the Mustang. Maya always answered with honesty and calm. She said it was never just a car. It was a promise passed through time. Care had brought it back to life. Kindness gave it meaning beyond metal. The road taught her who she was. And she never stopped listening. The Mustang rolled forward into another sunrise. Its engine steady and sure beneath open sky. Maya drove with purpose and peace within. The past rested safely behind her. The future unfolded without fear or rush. Every mile honored what came before. Every choice shaped what came next. And the journey continued exactly as it should.